All right, and you're back to Business in Motion, a program focusing on business and entrepreneurship from an African-centered perspective. I'm your host, RDL Biz Coach, and I'm here with Deirdre. So, how you feeling so far, Deirdre?
I'm still feeling good.
You're feeling good.
Yeah.
You think you can come in and be a part of this more often?
Hey, sure.
If you're in the
If
area?
you'll have me.
All right, all good, all good, all good. So, I got a question for you.
Okay.
Okay, based on what you heard me saying about Natal, Brazil, what's your opinion? Is that a place you think you would want to visit?
Yes, absolutely. I think you actually owe me a trip
Oh, I
to
do.
Brazil. Yeah.
Oh, well, Rock covers all those expenses.
Oh,
You
okay.
see him? He's the one in charge of.
So I need to
paying
talk
it
to Rock. But no, absolutely. That sounds like an opportunity that I think would definitely be advantageous to me. So yeah.
And some of those, I'm telling you, with some of the prices, I just think if you went there, you'd fall in love. I'm just afraid you might not want to come back. That's the only thing. I'm afraid you might not want to come back once you got there, especially if you picked up the language, because there is like in Rio, more of the people speak English. You'll find a lot of the people, they'll take it
Okay.
upon themselves to learn it. In Natal, you find people speak English, but it's not as many. And just fortunately, I was there with my main guy, Carlos. Carlos Carlos was born in Portugal,
Okay.
so he speaks what's referred to as national Portuguese, which is different from Brazil. But it's the same. It's the same word. They pronounce them a little differently. But Carlos grew up from the time that he was 5 or 6 years old in Toronto. So he speaks English because that's what they speak in Toronto. And so he's been living down in Brazil for the past 5 years. And so he's got the mixture. But he told me still they call him the gringo. They like view him as one who came from up north and came down there. Yeah.
Gotcha.
But with some of those prices that I'm talking about, just imagine, how many places have you ever gone to that's quality that you were able to rent a hotel, a decent hotel,
For $52 a night.
$20 a night?
No, never. It's never happened. Ever.
Nah, funny. If you're in the U.S. and most places in the world, they tell you a room is $20. You run.
Yes.
You know,
and quickly.
you don't stay around there if it's $20 a night. You know what I'm saying? But that was the situation. I'm going to put photos up on social media, so a lot of you will be able to go to social media and you're going to see some of these pictures and some of these short videos that I'm talking about, like walking out on the beach and that resort, that aquarium hotel. That did it for me. Unless I can find something that's better. Every time I go to Natal, I want to be at the same hotel in the same room that I was in. It was that impressive. Absolutely.
All right, wow.
That's
That
what I'm
might
talking
be an
about.
area to definitely consider. I know I told you before I was considering Virgin Islands,
Yes.
but based on what you just said, I think I might need to, rethink that.
I think more people really need to explore Brazil, and it is very advantageous today just looking at the exchange rate and what you're able to get for the money. I like to talk about when I made my investment down in Brazil, further north in a place called Fortaleza. The exchange rate was 2 to 1, 2 Brazilian real to $1. Okay, so
Okay.
just to give you an idea of the difference, a $100,000 investment then, if you're looking at it, you could drop that down to 20,000 today, just based on the exchange rate. But the exchange rate is not going to remain where it is. You can bet there are some things happening politically that's in the world. There are these alliances that are coming together, and one of probably the strongest alliance that is forming happens to be the BRICS, what's referred to as BRICS nations. BRICS stands for Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. It started out BRIC. It was only one BRIC. Brazil, Russia, India, China. South Africa came later. But these are major economies that we're talking about with a lot. If you're looking at BRICS nations, that's the majority of the world's population. You understand? When you're talking India got about 1.2, 1.3 billion. China's got a little bit more than India. And then you tack in Brazil. I think they're probably the 6th or 7th largest nation in the world. And, South Africa and then Russia. Oh, my God. Powerful. Well, guess what? Carlos just informed me that now France has petitioned to become a BRICS nation. But not only did France, Saudi Arabia. And like when I had Carlos on, he was talking about how everything is pegged to the petrodollar. And with that petrodollar, everything they wanted is like the world wanted a stable form of currency so that when you're trading, that everything is pretty much equal in terms of value. And they decided to use that US dollar, which is pegged to that oil that's in Saudi Arabia. But guess what? Saudi Arabia is shifting, and now they want to become a member of the BRICS nation.
Okay.
When these things go down, you're going to see the exchange rate, the U.S. dollar. I mean, it's inevitable. There's nothing that can be done. When these BRICS nations come into existence, all these nations form, and they're figuring out ways to trade without having to go through the U.S. dollar. What that means is money that used to come into the U.S., billions and trillions of dollars in trade, would have to go through the banking system, and each time it went through, there was a fee. And when that money is here, even though it's only for short periods of time, there's interest that's being generated. The U.S. loses that. You understand? The U.S. loses it. And I'm just telling you, for anybody, this is one of the reasons I like speaking about international affairs and international opportunities, is because, as Dr. Mummy was saying a little bit earlier, the West has done its thing. We happen to be in a period right now where karmic debt has to be paid. And I can't think of any region that has more negative karma than the West. And it's got to pay its dues. And what we're seeing now, the reverberations of this thing that's happening spiritually and in the universe, we're seeing a lot of people can't get a grip on all these things that's going on, but they're happening, and they're happening right in front of our face. And so, again, what I'm trying to bring is like people who can interpret it, has the ability to be able to make you understand what's going on. And so, again, what's going on in Brazil is things are going to be much more favorable than what it used to be. And if you take into consideration, again, like I say, the Virgin Islands, U.S. Virgin Islands, there's still everything is pegged on the dollar.
Yeah.
Okay, you have to take that into consideration. So when these BRICS, when this monetary exchange, you can take money, and this is one of the keys that I want to even talk about. I mentioned 5 strategies, 5 keys to generate or to create generational wealth, investing in paradise. And if you just take this first one, happens to be, and this is the bonus. I'm going to call this one the bonus one, and I'll talk about that one first. The bonus, it happens to be the exchange rate. Based on what's happening the politically throughout the globe today, things are going to be more favorable. And that exchange rate, you keep in mind, again, if you make an investment today in Brazil with a 5-to-1 exchange rate, even if it goes back to just 3-to-1, you gain 40% on your investment, and you didn't do anything. You just happened to put the money there. And just because the exchange rate occurred, things started to normalize. Right now, that's not a normal, a 5-to-1. That's abnormal, okay? But when it starts to get back to some equilibrium, and you get back to around 3, and God, Lord have mercy, if it goes back to 2, where it was when I first invested, you become very, very wealthy very quickly by making investments there in Brazil. That's what's going on. But I do want to mention this, with this exchange rate being as it is, you make that investment like this place that I saw. There was a San Miguel Beach that I was talking about, a 3-bedroom place, okay, that was built with a swimming pool in the middle and the bedrooms on the other side, $200,000. Now, if it goes back to where it was with just exchange rate, that place becomes worth about $500,000 US, a $200,000 investment. If you go back to the 2-to-1, and you're looking at about a $500,000 value, is what it would be. And again, you didn't do anything to make that happen. You just happened to invest at the right time, and the exchange rate happened to occur. So that is key. That's your bonus key right there. Is you don't have to do anything. Just make the investment today with the exchange rate as it is, and sit back and watch things occur, and you get to benefit from that. Another key, what I was going to consider is key number 1. If you could just be a passive investor, this is key number 1 to generating this wealth, creating this generational wealth. If you don't want to be going down or doing anything like that, you could just consider yourself as a passive investor. And as a passive investor, what I mean is you could just make money available. You can invest. You can even put it in banks that are there, and you can get double-digit return on your money. Awesome. I mean, just awesome. Give to it, same thing. You know what I'm saying? You just make the investors. For instance, Carlos, my partner, he brings lots of people down from Canada, investors, and they don't want to be traveling back and forth. They're not interested in actually buying, but they make their investments with Carlos. Carlos pays them 10, 12% interest on their money. Now, if you're sitting in a bank in Canada or in the U.S., you're not even going to earn a 0.5%.
Right.
You're earning basically nothing. So for those people, again, and this is just so perfect for people with self-directed retirement accounts. You take that money that you have, and to be able to be a passive investor, and if it's coming from your pension plan, you have no other choice. It has to be invested passively. And to be able to get double digit, that's a blessing.
Yeah, that's unheard of. You don't see that type of return even on high yield savings accounts.
No. You're just not getting that.
Right.
That is very, very good. So you think about that. Key number one, just being a passive investor, taking your money and making these investments and being able to realize that. Now, what do you think about that?
Sign me up.
All right, got you. Now we're going to do another one. Key number 2, investing in new developments. Now, everybody pretty much knows, and this happens to be true, I don't care where you are in the world, when there's a new development coming, typically if you're one of the first to get in and to make your investment, by the time that project is pretty much built out or sold out, that the last units being sold go for a lot more than the first ones. So a key strategy is to be able to identify these new developments, making that investment, buying whatever it might be, and it might just be that you just have to put a deposit. You put a deposit and you lock it up with a contract. Because a lot of these places, you don't pay all cash at one time, but what you do is you get it under contract to buy, and they would give you certain time frames. It might be every 3 months or every 6 months or whatever that you will make another payment, and they use this money to build out. Now, by the time the place is completed, a lot of times it's worth more than double. And I've seen that with one of the partners who we have brought on, that I'm telling you is one of the number one developers that happens to be in the area of Natal. He has done lots of developments that when he started and when he finished, they've gone up more than 100% in value.
Wow.
So you could come in and you can make that investment. Say you got $50,000 sitting around. And, okay, you're going to make the investment in, let's say it's just an apartment. Say it's a 2-bedroom apartment that's in a condominium complex. Okay, we just call them condos here in the U.S. So I'll just use our terminology. You put $50,000 down on a condo that's going to that's sold for $100,000. Now you might have to come back in and you do another tranche. You put 50, maybe 3 months later or 4 months later, you put another 25. Now they're looking at the place being completed in maybe 6 months, 8 months, or whatever. But what's happening now? They're building more, but they're selling out faster. And so you could turn right back around, and as your contract is considered personal property that you can sell, you can convey this to another person for monetary gain. Okay, so you put down 50. Let's stick with that. Let's just say you only got the 50 in it. 3 months later, it's time for your other tranche. It's time to make another payment in amount of 25. However, this place has gone up in value. No longer are they selling that same condominium for $100,000, but now it's gone up to $125,000. Well, guess what? You just made $25,000 off your 50. And let's say that it's done in 3 months. All right? That annualized, if you're making that type of return, you put up $50,000 and you're making $25,000 off it in 3 months, that's 50%. But you got to multiply that by 4 because that's only 1/4 of a year. And so annualized, That's like getting a 200% return on investment. Do you follow the math?
I'm following you. You can only do those numbers if you're lucky to win the lottery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what can happen. And so these are the things that I want to introduce any of my investors who are fortunate enough to be able to come down and to check out Natal and these opportunities that we have down there. But again, that's like key number 2 is just those being the first in, being very fortunate and being able to identify those developments. And we know that because a lot of them our group is going to be actually putting together. And investors can come in and they can actually buy. Again, it could be from their pension plan. It could be straight from their bank account. And you get to capitalize on this. Awesome.
Yes.
Wouldn't you say?
Yes,
that's what I'm talking about. Now, I want to tell you another one. Okay, let's say that, all right, 50,000, okay, I hear what you're saying. And again, just keep in mind, that's a hypothetical number. Typically, if it's $100,000, you're not going to put $50,000 down to start with. Typically, It might only be about 25.
Okay.
But let's say that still is stretching it for you. You can't come up with you can't come up with 25,000. Well, here's the other strategy. This is key number 3, is you partner. You go find another investor. You can find another investor and you just pool your money and you go in and you do it together. Same returns. Everything ends up being the same. It's just now because you didn't have the full amount necessary to make that investment, you just happen to partner with another person and you go in and you do it with them. And that is key number 3 is partnering with other investors. Same return as I mentioned. You're going to be able to capitalize on that.
Well, that makes sense. It actually might make you feel a little better to go into it with somebody. So it takes a little of the pressure off of yourself.
Exactly. You go in kind of soft. This is one thing like my partner Carlos, he likes to advocate. He says a lot of the people when they come from Canada, when they go down, he'll get them into the smaller investments where they just come in with smaller amounts of money to start with so that they can fill him out and they can see his flow and how everything works. And then he said lots of them will come back automatically and say, well, look, I got $100,000 here. I got $200,000. That's after they've made their first investment. So I think that's a very good strategy and just a smart way. It's an intelligent way to go about investing.
Yeah.
Typically when you invest, there's certain things, the 2 things that are very important. And the first one, most important, is the return of investment. You want to make sure if you put that in investment, if you put that money out there, that you can get it back. The worst thing in the world is to put money out there and you lose it. You don't get it back. All right?
Yes.
You follow me? And secondly is return on investment. Okay? So return of investment, and that is security that when you put that money and put it out there that you are going to get it back. And secondly is return on investment. Now, how much more over and above your principal amount that you put out there are you going to get?
Right.
2 things that are very, very important. And so going in soft, it just makes sense to do that.
Your bottom line.
All right.
Gotcha.
And so I'm going to go back. What's another one? Key number 4. And that is partnering with developers. And I'm going to talk about as the time comes in the near future, I want to talk about that in each one of these segments that I'm doing, simply because I'm going to be taking people back down. And what has happened, we know that we've got projects. We know that there's capital available. And what I'm speaking about by partnering with a developer is even in Brazil, the banks that I've learned will lend that developer about 80%. They want to make sure the developer's got about 20% skin in the game. All right? Now, if they got 20% of what the cost of the project that they want to develop, the banks will lend them the money. However, what happens, it doesn't matter. I don't care who you are. Eventually, you tap out where you can't do anymore. You're putting your 20% down. So what I'm talking about now is being able to partner. You come in, you identify that developer, and you're willing to use your money to partner, not just invest or return on an investment, but to partner in the project, and you negotiate what your return is going to be, but what you're bringing, the value that you bring happens to be that 20% down payment.
Okay.
Okay?
Yep.
Now, take into consideration, you can start to integrate some of these strategies. Now, you can integrate strategy number 4 back with strategy number 3. Okay, if you don't have the full 20%, now you partner with another person, you bring it, and then you know what I'm saying, with another investor, and then you make that investment by partnering with that developer.
Okay.
Awesome. Make sense?
Makes sense.
All right. Now, those are 4 of the keys plus the bonus. That bonus being what I mentioned, just being able to capitalize on the exchange rate that's just going to happen naturally. And so here's another one that is awesome. Kind of mentioned this once in the past, but what happened when there was COVID-19, when it was at its height, and people didn't know what was going on, the countries didn't know what to do, so everything just shut down. It was like no more traveling, and you couldn't fly, you couldn't do anything. That was pretty much all over the whole world. Now what happened, this was all over the world, but in Brazil, you had a lot of hotel owners. They owned these hotels that was doing vibrant business, very good cash flow and everything that was coming in. And when COVID-19 hit, it just stopped. Now, government helped subsidize some of them, just like they did here in the United States. However, the government money kind of ran out. And even after a while, what happened, the people, they didn't know what to do. Now, and then later, now, if you think about it, first of all, international flights were at a standstill. Well, first, it was all flights. Then they came back and they eased up a little bit, and you could travel within your nation, within your country. You could travel, but you couldn't travel internationally. And so what happened, a lot of these hotel owners, now they're suffering. They weren't getting that international travel, and a lot of them started losing. They could no longer maintain those hotels and those businesses that they had. And as a result of that, even today, I'm looking at them right on Ponte Negra Beach. Beautiful edifices. I'm talking about buildings that are sitting there, no operation going, because the owner ran out of money and they had to just give it up totally. Now, what has happened as a result of that is like those places could be picked up for pennies on the dollar. Now, when you do that, when you come in with a hotel and you make an investment there, you want to come in with a strategy. You want to know, and then, you know, you can find, if the hotel is large enough, yeah, you can get a change. You can maybe even petition to see if it can become, you know, a chain. You might have to make some improvements to bring it up to the standards that some large hotel chain wants. But one thing that I see right now is getting investors going down, identifying these hotels, posadas, that's another a term that they use there, and grabbing these while this exchange rate is as it is. When the owner is distressed because they just want to get rid of it, they want to make things happen, and you come together, I want my people to be able to mastermind and come up with a game plan as to how they're going to put life back into this place, but they will be able to go down and buy literally hotels that, let's say, for instance, were valued at $3 million prior to COVID. You can pick them up for less than $1 million today. You can go in, do your transformations, exchange rate, everything goes well. That one place that I'm talking about, especially if you are able to capitalize on this monetary exchange rate happens to occur, that $1 million investment could go as high as $8 million, $10 million in value. That's what I'm talking about. And that is key number 5, the strategy that is there to create generational wealth for you if you have the gall, if you can see clearly what I'm talking about, if you're willing to take the trip down to Brazil to see these opportunities, if you're willing to go to paradise, and I'm telling you, I'm saying come to paradise. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying go to some bad place where you're not going to like it. I'm saying when you get down there, you're going to be blown away. And to be able to take and make these investments is beyond my wildest dreams. It's just amazing. I'm just so happy. I thank the universe that I've been positioned to be able to go and to experience this and to be a part. I'm so thankful that would be able to do this. And as a result of all this, I said, I've got to take business in motion to another level. People got to know about this. And that's why I'm here. That's what we're doing. And that is what is coming. in the future with a new business in motion. And I'm telling you, there's going to be a launch of the VIP Club Brazil, VIP Club Brazil. It's going to be launched. You're going to get the launch date on that also. And you know exactly when we're going to be taking our second trip back down to Natal, Brazil. And taking it doesn't have to be a lot of people. I would rather take serious-minded people down to experience this than to take a whole bunch of people who just want to go down and lollygag and just look at the things that maybe they don't like and talk about them. No, that is not the people that I think my time is best spent with, and introduce them to my investors and the people, my developers, who I've cultivated these relationships with. I want the serious people, the ones who can go down and can see what this place has to offer and to take advantage of it.
High frequency.
High frequency. That's what I'm talking about. There you go. There you go. And I'll tell you, we get to talking on this and time just runs out. I mean, I'm looking at it as 4:58 right now. So how do you feel, Deirdre?
I've enjoyed myself. I think there's definitely a lot of opportunities with what you said, and this is why we need shows like this. This is how we get information.
Absolutely.
This is how we make things happen.
All right, so I can count on you to do some of this leg work sometimes then, huh?
Yeah.
You heard that, Rock?
Yeah.
You got it. Okay, all right. And so I'm telling you all, be sure to go in and just follow me. Go on Instagram, it's RGL Biz Coach. And also on Instagram and Facebook, it is RGL Real Estate Pro. Just go onto social media, follow me, because there's going to be some exciting shows, and I'm telling you, there's going to be some positive things that's going to be going on, and you are truly and utterly going to be enlightened. And with that being stated, I just want to tell you, come back next week, right, same place, same station, right here in this wonderful nation, and we're going to be throwing it down. And I'm telling you, I'm putting it all together right now. I don't even want to talk about it. I'm just saying, just come back next week. It's going to be a surprise for you. With that being stated, ciao, ciao. I will see you next week. We out.